On the screen you can see my metaphor poem. On the left is a symbol from inside the poem, and on the right is the poem itself. On the top, I have the title to the poem. In order to create this, you're going to need some materials. First, you're going to need the draft of your poem, including the part where you made revisions to it. You're also going to need 2 pages of some kind of prose writing. This came out of a novel, but you could use something else as well, such as a magazine or something. You're going to need possibly some scissors if you need to trim some of your papers on the bottom or maybe on the top. You need a pencil. You need some kind of marker. I use a Sharpie just because this paper is fairly small. I tried to use like regular pen, and maybe that'll work, but for me it didn't. You need some kind of colored paper so that you can put your pieces of prose on top of them. And then you might need a ruler, because one of the things you want to make sure of is when you create your poem, you have a 1-inch margin on the top so that when you bind this into your portfolio, you don't accidentally cut off your poem. So no matter if you do the poem like this or like this, you'll keep that 1-inch margin. Okay, the first thing I need to do is I need to write my poem on one piece of my prose. I chose the right side so that the part that's cut off, like torn off I should say, is in the middle, but it's not necessary to... So the first thing I did was I decided where I wanted to write my poem on my piece of prose. Here's my finished version, and what I did was I decided that I was going to do my childhood as my first line, was a teddy bear is my second line, with a missing nose was going to be my third line, and then after that I was going to model or mirror the rest of the lines after the top. So for example, I have my childhood here and my father here. You can see my and my. Each line starts with my. My second line starts with was, and so this line down here also starts with was. So these two are mirrored, or they're sort of a parallel structure. You'll see here that where I wrote computer is indented. It's because when I tried to write over here, I didn't have enough space, but I wanted it to be there. So to signal to my reader, I'm going to indent it to show them, oh, actually it goes up here, I just didn't have enough space. Okay, so I noticed I kind of counted the lines, and with my marker I noticed I needed about 3 lines of prose for each line of poetry, because my M takes up like 1, 2, 3 lines. And then all my lowercase letters, it's only two lines. Okay, so I'm going to set this to the side. On your prose, you can start at the top or maybe 1 line down, and you just start writing. You want to make sure you left a line so that it looks nice and neat. So start here, my childhood. Was a teddy bear. So I'm going to skip this line and I'm going to go to the next one and take up 3 full lines. Was a to write this over. Again, if pen works for you, use pen. Okay, I have the first part all done. Just a quick check. Each of these letters on the left-hand side are all capitalized. The beginning of the lines, not all poetry is like that, but a lot is. And so for this one, I want us to practice that. Okay, I'm done with my draft paper. I can set that to the side. If I don't do the artwork, I don't have time or something, it's okay to put my poem just like this, and then again leave the 1-inch margin on the top. So write my poem title right here, and then on the side, I don't want it over here because it might interfere with when I bind it together. So I'm going to put it in the middle, and at the top I'd write whatever your title is going to be. It's up to you. You can call it My Childhood. You can call it an object from within the poem itself. Like I said before, mine is just called Perfume. But whatever you decide to call yours, make sure you capitalize your title and then put quotation marks, because this is a short piece of work, so it requires those short lines. But for me, I'm not done yet. I think I want to go the extra step. My example to you was the bottle of perfume, because it's an object that's symbolic within my poem. I could have done other objects as well. I could have done teddy bear, which I actually started as another option. You can see that I drew the teddy bear in the middle, and I'm still in the middle of shading the background. I could have done a computer, an image of a computer. I could have done an image of a sunflower. I could have maybe done an image of myself or some kind of silhouette. So for my next one, just to model it for you, I'm going to draw a picture of a sunflower. So I have my fresh one here. And I can put this to the side for right now. I can just freehand if I want to, but that might be a little bit difficult. Sometimes it's easier to look up some images. So what I did was I Googled sunflower sketch to see what I should come up with, and I found a picture of a sunflower. So before I do it with my pen, of course I'm going to start with pencil first. Here we go. I'm going to take my pen or my marker and just go over my objects. And then I need to shade the background if I want to finish this. So my image of my sunflower is finished for now. The next thing I need to do is get my colored paper and place my poem on my paper. And I'm going to put it all the way on the bottom. And then on the sides, make sure it's about the same amount of space. You don't want it too close to one side or too close to the other. You want these two pieces of paper pretty close together with a pretty close margin, the same margin on both sides. And then I have my ruler to make sure that I write my title. It's not inside the margin. If you need to put a pencil mark there to make sure, that's fine. Maybe just something really light so that you can erase it later. And I notice that that is not enough space to make my title. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to trim, I think the top of each of these. This one, my word comes down pretty far, and so there's not a lot of space to trim there. But I have a fair amount of space up here, and of course I have a lot of space up here. So I'm going to put this one on top of this one to make sure I cut the same amount off. And again, this is just an extra step. You might not need to do this depending on yours. And I'll start cutting there. See if that's enough. Place them there again. I'm just doing a little bit of glue around the edges. And when I place this down, there won't be any glue that comes out. Okay, just like that. And my last step, of course, is to write a title. I decided on the title Perfume. Again, you can choose your own title. Just make sure you capitalize it and you put quotation marks. Decide on the kind of font that you want ahead of time. When you write on your colored paper, make sure you write lightly so that you can erase it. noticed is as I writing, I was going down. So I'm going to go back and fix that to make sure it's nice and balanced. This is going in my portfolio, so this really needs to be my best work. That's better. And then everything needs to be in ink. I made that light line with my ruler, so I'll go ahead and take that off now. Okay, and that is my published copy.